So this is the forum Reddit/r-anarchism, and you've got to love that banner, don't you? Look at it, it's just a field of sunflowers with a couple of black-clad psychos with face masks who are about to what? What? What are you going to do, plant these fields? You're not really dressed for it. You're just in a delusional fantasy world. But anyway, they're talking about the troubling implications of the conflict in Berkeley, where they got their asses handed to them, and they know it. So this is a huge thread, and I'll only pick out a few comments, but I'll put the link in the description so you can read through it yourself. And I recommend you do, because it's very interesting to know how they think. I've seen quite a bit of media that has come out of Berkeley today, watching some of a live stream, and it's very troubling. The right was able to hold their own against, to a large degree, against the anti-fascists in one of the most radical metropolitan areas of the country. They gave as good as they got, and they were able to keep a presence in the streets for hours. In fact, they seem to have run you out, and you seem to have lost this decisively. Everything that we have vocalized about the Trump presidency that has mobilized racists and fascists, that emboldens them and allows them to present their bigotry as simply another political opinion, is coming true. Holy fucking shit. Do you honestly think you people have no agency whatsoever? Everything you have said, everything you have fucking said, it's because of you that they're doing this. If you weren't in the street shutting down free speech and assaulting people who are just attending protests, not rioters, not alt-right people, just regular Trump supporters who are just there to talk to you, if you weren't busy unfairly assaulting them, then they wouldn't be out there. They wouldn't think that you were a threat to deal with. And if the police would deal with you, then they wouldn't be out there thinking that you were a threat to deal with. But fuck me. They are literally there because you are dangerous lunatics who honestly think that your fucking communist, anarcho-communist fucking utopia is possible when it's not. It's a fantasy, and somewhere deep inside you know it's a fucking fantasy. But I love this. It allows them to present their bigotry as simply another political opinion. That's because you've presented your bigotry as a political opinion. Your bigotry, your identity politics, your bullshit has become their mirror image, and they are just representing the other side. You normalize this, and now you're reaping what you sow. And yeah, you're, oh my god, there's like violence in the streets. Well, if you hadn't brought violence into the political discussion, there wouldn't be any. They weren't out there beating people up. They were shitposting memes all over the internet. They were annoying, they were racist, they were wrong on almost everything, sometimes, but mostly wrong on almost everything, and yet you sit there and you act like they started this. They fucking didn't. You did. In the aftermath of this event, it's time for some serious reflection. Now is not the time to sugarcoat the truth, to revel in the feeling of success of a clean punch to a Nazi's face. That means you are a sociopath. In fact, you are in fact a sadist. If you revel in the feeling of punching someone, that means you take pleasure in the suffering of others. That's literally what sadism is. That is not a good person. That's not what it makes a good person. That is in fact one of the ways I define bad people. They revel in the suffering of others. Honestly, you cannot just sit there and go, well, you know what? They're the bad people, therefore I can, not only is it acceptable for me to just shut them down, beat them up, prevent them, and infringe their rights, I can enjoy me removing their rights from them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't expect a narco-communist to give a shit about people's rights. Insert the meme of the black guy tapping the side of his head. You can't take away people's rights if they don't have any rights. So they should step back and ask what organisational steps can be taken to prevent this from happening again. Oh yeah, organisational steps in an anarchist society, eh? That's an interesting idea. What tactics can we use to disrupt their events when there are similar numbers to our own? What differences must we put down and alliances need to create in the resistance to fascism? Yeah, fascism. Yeah. Just you're the ones acting like fascists, as everyone always tells you. Everyone else is the fascist. But everyone else is the fascist. It's never you. But yeah, anyway, bash the fash. Now more than ever. The only thing troubling is how awful Berkeley Antifa is at actually organising a strong, coherent militia and intimidating protest. Well, I'm not fucking surprised. You're anarchists. I'm not surprised you can't organise shit for shit. Who the hell's in charge? Obviously no one. It's not the first time this happens, it's a reoccurring problem. No banners, no unified bloc, no cohesion, just a shitty brawl. Time to read up on European Antifa methods, because right now they look laughable. That's a big problem with American anti-fascists. They don't really care for unity, it's just a big brawl. Don't worry, many EU groups are the same. Most Antifas only want to brawl, and follow in the most well-organised groups at the protest. At least in my experience. And then someone has infiltrated the echo chamber. Your front lines are staffed by 100-pound women and scrawny men with bandanas, incoherently facing men with self-defense training. Ridiculous that you guys thought this would end in a positive outcome. He's right. Mesa Rackham, we need to organise. Stop worrying about getting infiltrated by the boogeyman, and get our numbers up. Security culture doesn't do you any favours if nobody knows what the fuck's going on. We've got to get the word out better as well. I only heard about this because I was subbed to some fascist YouTube channels. Yeah, I'm sure they were total fascists. But yeah, how are you going to organise? Who's going to be in charge? Who's going to direct your movements? There was a definite asymmetry here, and that was the big event for the fascists. They flew people from all over in for it. And while I feel like the left treated this as just another anti-fascist event, next time people will know better though, and turn out in force. Got to start building the infrastructure though, to make sure there is a big, organised and equipped bloc. Yeah, who's going to organise it? Who's going to do it? Yes, we seem to have lost today. The alt-right held their ground. If we want to take action against them, we need to be better organised and better trained. Are you happy that you now have Nazis and fascists fighting in the communists and fascists fighting in the streets again? Is this what you want? I mean, they are not going to take over the United States and implement a socialist utopia or a communist utopia. And there is a difference between the two. So, I mean, they live in a fantasy world. They live in a fucking fantasy world. It doesn't help that it's only the far left opposing them. Any Trump supporter can be radicalised far easier than any liberal. I don't think liberals are going to be joining black blocs. I don't think liberals want communism in any way, shape or form. I mean, any liberal worth salt who knows anything about being a liberal would be highly opposed to both sides, and presumably more opposed to the side that begins the violence. But again, we need to be better organised and better trained. Better trained! A shocking number of our comrades went in there with absolutely no combat training. We need to set up seminars or something of the sort. That's how middle class you are. You can't get combat training from fucking seminars, you dumb shits. You don't have any combat training because you are professors and students from stupid, radicalising universities. You're going to get yourself fucked up. That's what you're going to get. Combat training. I highly recommend not calling this in any public domain. Self-defense training. Self-defense? You must be joking. Self-defense against people we're attacking. Is that the way it goes? What does it matter when your front line consists of 98-pound females? You're going to lose a fist fight. And then Flaming Max, you're bashing in the wrong direction, fam raid. I mean, small women in the front line are not going to be able to stand up to men physically larger and stronger than them. It has nothing to do with feminism. Oh, I think it's got everything to do with feminism. I think the fact that they're there in the fucking first place has got everything to do with feminism. And you making up this kind of bullshit that it's a good idea for small women to go out and start fights is stupid. You're the ones getting them punched in the face. It was inevitable that this was going to happen, and you made it happen. Opposing fascists is always self-defense. But at least someone's like Slippery Slope. I don't want any crazy comrades abusing the label fascist to justify violence. Dude, I think that horse has bolted. You can try closing the stable door if you want, which I don't think you're going to succeed at, but I really don't think it matters, because I think a lot of your crazy comrades have abused the label fascist to justify violence. Just fine. You're way too late for that. We also need better equipment. I know the bandana and hoodie look is our trademark. Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it? But I saw the right wearing motorcycle helmets and baseball helmets. A dude wearing a helmet is going to keep going if he gets punched. Our guys are going down. Also, what's our opinion on a leader? I think I know what your opinion on a leader is, you dumb fuck. You're anarchists. You don't want hierarchies. A leader is the top of a hierarchy. You stupid motherfuckers. Someone to rally our troops, direct the flow and keep everything organised. Yeah, that's why you're going to lose. Eventually you're going to lose. Eventually, the people opposing you, the fascists, the Nazis, whoever it is, they are going to be hierarchical, and they are going to be more than happy to choose someone with some kind of knowledge about what they're talking about. And you won't have anything to do with it. You won't have anything to do about it. You're going to get yourself fucked. Something people on the ground are going to have to decide amongst themselves if they want. Affinity groups should absolutely have a trusted person calling the shots within the affinity group. Beyond that, it's a question of organisation versus security. Yeah, but automatically, by doing this, you have violated the fundamental principles of anarchy. You can't have leaders and think that you're anarchists. And literally, that's what someone else below has said. No, affinity groups shouldn't have trusted persons calling the shots. They should sit down together and talk about how they're comfortable with different scenarios and be ready to step back and get a gauge on things. Yeah, look, that's all well and good to say, but when you're in the middle of a giant street brawl, it's really hard to sit down and have little affinity groups and sit down and talk about how they feel. Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable? Should we go and bash the fash now? Are we all comfortable with bashing the fash? Comrades? But some of them are realists, and this is a good post. I really wish anarchists would stop fucking tiptoeing around and mincing around this issue and realise that leadership will always be a necessity. Yes, there we go. You have, in that statement, utterly disproven the premise of anarchism. Leadership and hierarchy will always be necessary for humans. It's just life. If humans were ants, maybe. If humans were bees, maybe. But unfortunately, they're not. Anarchy simply will not work. In stressful situations, it's your leaders that stop panic from spreading through example and allows cohesion to build around them. There's a damn good reason why military theorists obsess over it. And you have no idea how much they obsess over it as well. My God, the reason that if you go to any history forum, in any place all over the internet, you will find millions, well, okay, not millions, but you'll find thousands of different top 10 generals throughout history. And you'll find that these posts literally have tens of thousands of comments underneath of people arguing the case for their favourite generals, because leadership is the key factor in any army. Without leadership, as you say, you'll be done for eventually. It doesn't matter whether you elect them beforehand or just gravitate around the more cool-headed people, as long as the need for them is understood and realised. These kind of engagements require cohesion and everyone facing the same way. You're not going to manage that without leaders providing the backbone for that cohesion. Great post, actually. That's a really good point. I wouldn't want to be the person who had to lead a bunch of anarchists. I would find that really annoying. Because, my God, imagine it'd be like herding cats. It'd be awful. This is a hilarious reply. Now the double thing starts. I don't really believe that command structures and leadership is a complete rejection of anarchism either. What? Leadership and organisation does not have to equal hierarchy. Yeah, it does. It means exactly that. I mean, you can't have a leadership without hierarchy. And then Midnight Tequila, hierarchy doesn't require leadership. No, it does. It absolutely does. You can't have leadership without hierarchy, and you can't have hierarchy without leadership. These things are inseparable. It requires bureaucrats. People whose function is to maintain the hierarchy. Look, you don't have bureaucrats on a battlefield, you moron. There's a reason they call them managers or supervisors and not leaders. Yeah, but you're not in a business. This is not a corporation. This is where people who are actually in danger need to be organising and leading people to do things in the field. This is not a corporation. Real leaders don't have much use for hierarchy. No, real leaders rely on hierarchy expressly. You can't not have a hierarchy and be a leader, because the hierarchy is what makes people understand you are in charge. I'll even go as far as to say we don't need a command structure. This is the same guy. It is the same, you idiot. No, you do need a command structure. You need, and I shouldn't be telling Antifa this, but I know they'll never do it, you need someone to act as the general. Then you need directly below him a series of captains. These people all then have a series of black bloc protesters or whatever the troops are underneath them. This is why you have this, and this is why it happens, right? You have the leader, he has to talk to the captains. The captains will then have to operate on their own intelligence, on their own wit, when things are actually going down, because no plan survives contact with the enemy. And the captains have to be able to direct their troops in concordance with the greater aim of what's going on, the greater plan. The general, the leader, will not be there at all points to tell you what to do, and therefore the captain has to be able to think on his feet. You do need a command structure. If you don't have a command structure, you will get smashed. I love this. Good tactics is good, but good logistics is even better. Exactly, good points. No, they're terrible points, right? Logistics happens before you arrive at the battlefield. Logistics is making sure you are fed, watered, armed, and trained, okay? Logistics happens before the conflict. There are no logistics on a battlefield, okay? This is nonsense. You idiots don't know what you're doing, and I shouldn't even be telling you this, but I know you won't listen to me, so it's fine. This is just for other people's benefit. Honestly, if anyone opposing these people is interested in how to get some actual tactics and coordinating yourselves, which you should do, because these people will eventually figure out something that they can pretend is anarchism while having a hierarchy in place, you should absolutely pay attention to military strategy and command hierarchy, and realize that if the cops aren't around and there are hundreds of you in a place brawling it out, you are in a battle. I mean, the early Muslim conquests had less people in them. Some of the battles of the early Muslim conquests had less people than were at Berkeley. So don't think that this isn't a big deal. It is a fucking big deal. And they're already figuring out how they're going to do this. I don't know if it's about needing leaders as much as it is preparation, communication, and situational awareness. It's great that cell phones are ubiquitous, but texting, tweeting takes time and attention. You know what doesn't? Radios. And then this guy's like, I feel we can avoid leaders if we have cohesive action, but I don't think we can give every comrade a radio. And this guy suddenly fucking, oh my god, not every comrade, no, but if you have small groups, that shit multiplies quick. Yes, that's what a captain is. That's the point. They're figuring it out slowly but surely on their own merits. I feel that we might need a leader whether we like it or not. Having a leader could immensely improve tactical organisation and can prevent the amount of disorganisation that happened that day. Having someone to help with the commandeering of resources could help us greatly. I'd honestly prefer a committee though, and in a perfect situation, cohesion could sort that all out. Anarchy is the rejection of power. A leader doesn't necessarily force us to do anything. Yes, he does. A leader forces you to follow his orders, and if you don't follow the leader's orders, he's not your leader. In fact, not following the leader's orders is, in military history, would get you executed. And literally, all through history, like, even from like the time of the Assyrians and the Hittites and the Egyptians, we have tablets in cuneiform where they would, the punishment for disobeying an order on the battlefield was to be put to death because these orders were so important. A leader does force you to do things. It is not, if anarchy is the rejection of power, then you're fucked anyway. But you mean the rejection of hierarchy. And if you don't follow the orders of the leader, you deserve to be killed. Because, again, it's just as Alexander the Great said, upon the conduct of one depends the fate of all. Everyone depends on everyone playing their part. And if you don't do that, then you're endangering everyone else. You will have to do exactly as your leader says. And that's a good thing in a battle. This is the thing, oh my god, you're a liberal ideologue. It's like, no, I know when the liberal principles are not appropriate. And a battle is the perfect example of when liberal principles are not appropriate. You do not ever sit there and go, yeah, but what about my individual rights when everyone else is counting on you in a life and death situation? Not that these were life and death, but let's be fair, it's not far off, is it? It's not that far off. And you idiots are just floundering around. But honestly, again, to anyone listening, they will eventually work it out. They could take a hint from our comrades over in Rojava and democratically elect our leaders. Yeah, because it requires an anarchist commune to democratically elect leaders. Dummies. But I love this. I felt that would be the best course of action. Somehow I don't think having a leader is the answer. No, it certainly is. So here's a post from someone who was there. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well today. I got home a couple of hours after the riots, and here are some thoughts I would love to share with you guys. We as a unit were so uncoordinated. We got choked off and split in two in the streets. We tried making a pushback, but no one was willing to fight, including me, which will be explained in a little bit. We had no strategy, no coordination, and no communication. Everyone was, in a sense, out there on their own, even though we were all together, because you had literally no command structure. I had to take my leave when I got pepper sprayed in the face and smoked out. I was holding the big black banner that some people have come to see, and it seemed like no one was willing to stand with me and my other three comrades who were holding the banner. Everyone was off doing their own thing, which was very anti-productive. That being said, we got a couple of good shots in. Some alt-right scum tried to rush us, but we quickly retaliated and ganged up on them. However, when we went into the streets, that's where we started going downhill. We almost got pushed up against the wall. Our efforts to form a true black bloc were almost non-existent, and the outright aggression from the fascists prevented us from getting anything meaningful done. Now on to why I was scared to fight. This was my first protest riot, and I was terrified. I like to think that I'm a really peaceful person. What the fuck are you doing this then? And I am against the idea of violence. Yeah, what the fuck? What, you are really in the wrong place then, aren't you? So whenever I would see someone get beat up, I would charge in, but then proceed to freeze up. I have a feeling that some of the others were like this, and I think it would be awesome to have some kind of motivation other than thought of if you see a Nazi, punch him. This is just my thinking though. Ideas on how to fix these issues would simply be organising a meetup before the protest and getting a basic understanding of the possible roles we would have, or simple tactics to prevent a repeat of what happened today. I've contacted the Facebook page offering any help that I can. Let's hope they respond. See, this is what they're afraid of, right? They're not fighters, they're not good at fighting, and they're not personally brave. So what you need to do if you're opposing these people is stay in formation. Get a line of you. Stay shoulder to shoulder, because that emboldens your own men. And I tell you what you should do is, instead of punching these people, you should grab them and pull them into your lines. Because I noticed when I was watching the footage, you always had a bunch of people behind you. And these people weren't really doing much, apart from just filling the space. They could be doing a lot more, because the thing these people are afraid of is being separated from their group. You should try and grab one. He's only being a scrawny little shit. Pull him back past you. And in fact, pull him back into your lines. But, lean back and walk backwards, holding him. And people behind you should grab him and pull him out as well. Because then he's neutralized completely. He's not brave. He's not intimidating. And the people at the back can just pummel the crap out of him until he's beaten in submission. And do you know what you need to do? You need to take off their masks. They are afraid of being exposed. You need to disarm them by tearing off their bandanas. As soon as they know their faces are exposed, they will hate everything that's going on. That is the worst case scenario for them. Being isolated and exposed is what you need to do to them. That will prevent them from doing this in future, because they'll end up getting criminal records. They'll end up getting arrested eventually, hopefully, assuming the police are doing their jobs. I mean, to be honest with you, what you should probably do is someone should just sit on him for the duration of the protest until the cops actually finally come around. Hell, I don't know what you can do, but just kettle them or something. Take off their masks, take any weapons they've got, and just just sit on their faces, for fuck's sake. Just knee them into the ground and hold them there until it's all over. Just stop them from running off, because they need to be held accountable for what they're doing. And it's the fact they're covered up with the face masks, and the fact they run away like a bunch of fucking pussies that enable this to happen. There's a big group of them. It's very hard to pick them out. Paul will have a lot more of an easy time identifying them if you can get some good photos of their faces. So what you need to do is separate them from the black bloc. I'll leave the link in the description. There's loads more in here, and it's really amusing to read. But this is how you beat Antifa. You don't worry about beating the crap out of them necessarily, just running up and punching them. That's how they can isolate you and then use their superior numbers and cowardice to finally get in and kick your ass. Separate them. Separate them. Find your leaders. Choose the guys who are brave and rally around them in exactly the same way they're trying to do, and then pluck them out of their black bloc. Prevent them from forming it. Prevent them from getting their feet and finding any confidence, and separate them, isolate them, remove them of any anonymity, and then hand them into the fucking authorities.